The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea. Revelation 8:8. Quite likely, John is describing a volcano and an ocean. At first blush, this combination potentially points to the scientific study of volcanism, which is directly related to the study of geological plate tectonics. This is something that is fundamental to the Earth. Volcanism and plate tectonics is not observed on our neighboring planets, Venus and Mars. It's also something that is not in front and center to the public's attention. However, volcanism and plate tectonics remain critical early Earth developmental components. Plate tectonics is there's a vital and unique continuous recycling process that controls almost every function of the planet, including atmospheric conditions, mountain building, forming of continents, natural hazards such as volcanoes and earthquakes, formation of mineral deposits, and the maintenance of our oceans. It is the process where the large continental plates of the planet continuously move. The top layers of the Earth's crust are recycled into the mantle and replaced by new layers through processes such as volcanic activity. Deep seawater is also central to tectonics, as volcanism is intimately related to the world's oceans. Maps of the ocean floor show undersea mountain ranges that circle the Earth repetitiously. As such, by inspecting an ocean floor map, it can be seen that there is a direct relationship between volcanic activity and tectonic plate activity. Continental fault lines and plate tectonic lines generally follow ocean bottom midpoints between the continents. The United States Geological Survey, the USGS, alludes to the Earth's active core and the fact that its iron base allows for electric currents. This results in a magnetic field, or magnetosphere. This sphere is protective and helps stave off potentially harmful cosmic radiation. The motion of tectonic plates may affect liquid iron in the Earth's core, which in turn affects the magnetic sphere which surrounds the Earth. All told, there are a number of Earth-based life cycles: the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the aesthetics tectonics brings, and the overall protection via the magnetosphere that it supports. So there are four general outcomes to volcanism and plate tectonics: the carbon cycle, the water cycle because of the mountains and valleys produced, the implicit beauty tectonics brings with the beautiful mountains, which allows niche societies, and the magnetosphere. As great as all that sounds, we have to return to Revelation 8 and the profound impact on life at the time. The Ordovician-Silurian event that's on the scientific chronology is significant among possible scientific events where a particular extinction event is theorized to be centered on volcanic activity. This OS extinction event is one of the most profound in the history of the Earth. It is more accurately a series of events or pulses some 1 million years apart. It's the second largest of the 5 major extinction events. And in terms of life lost, sea life lost approximately 85%. As such, we see how accurate Revelation is in chapter 8 regarding the scientific parallel. To review ancient New Testament literature Textual criticism is a central topic of various Bible colleges worldwide. Master educators shape future generations of Christian leaders, some who will develop careers in studying biblical literature. We're thankful for their fantastic effort. But critical explanation or interpretation of a Revelations text, the study of syntax, the way words are put together, this is all very critical to properly understanding Revelation. All of these processes perhaps came apart. For in Revelation 8 verse 9, we discover a few problematic words. For example, ships is somewhat debatable. The word destroyed is certainly debatable. Meanwhile, the missing phrase, the ones having souls, which is not shown in all biblical versions, is also somewhat problematic. The net result of such phrases being omitted or words being interpreted perhaps incorrectly is leaving the misperception that Revelation 8 is all to do with end times doom and gloom, when it certainly is not. When distortions are made, an upright progressive inquiry into possible early Earth events is extinguished. Observers never get the opportunity to debate John's apparent articulation of primordial floating biological material that's decaying over time. I say this as the first word under analysis here. The Greek word ploion may not mean ship at all, but could be considered an object that floats. As such, there are translations that use the word floaters. Piet et al., 2019, they're part of a Dutch-based think tank from the Scripture for All Foundation. They utilize the word floaters instead of ships. Potentially a floater could be any type of log or piece of debris, not necessarily a man-made piece of technology such as a ship or a boat. I mentioned Piet, but his work is based on a concordant Greek text sublinear, and which is also related to Scrivener's 1894, Textus Receptus. All of this goes back to the King James Version, the Greek of the King James Version from 1611. So there are certainly possibilities regarding floaters or types of floating debris and not necessarily man-made ships, i.e., the situation could be early Earth in a natural setting versus a man-made end times warlike setting. Perhaps more significant than the term ploion is the next adjacent term, diphthero. It accurately means to be corrupted or decayed, and this goes back to Strong, his 1890 concordance. Diphthero is to rot through, thoroughly, to ruin, passively decay, utterly, figuratively, corrupt, destroy, or perish, but the emphasis is certainly on decay. The descriptors here indicate rotting over time and not necessarily a sudden obliteration, certainly not a succinct, precise action one would expect if there was an end times wrath situation. And in fact, the second term decaying here points back to the first term, floaters, which reasonably is some sort of plant-based life or biological material. So together, these terms are fairly powerful, and we need to fully reconsider our translation of Revelation 8:8. The full phrase may well be floaters decaying and not ships destroyed. Decaying infers biological material naturally disintegrating. It would be difficult to have a hardy man-made war object such as a ship decaying. So it seems the two words belong together. Any phrase of floaters decaying, as we could see here, spurs the imagination to think of a peaceful floating lily pads in the Everglades, or maybe logs floating down a quiet, damp, musty, swampy river. Peaceful floating lily pads is a long way off from wartime ships being destroyed, which is a scene we are repetitiously led to believe when considering Trumpet 2 in Revelation 8. To review, Revelation 8:8 considers volcanism and plate tectonics, and perhaps the Ordovician-Silurian extinction event of some 450 million years ago. Volcanoes, oceans, and extinction are perfectly parallel between the scientific account and Revelation 8:8. Trumpet 2 appears to be a developmental event, just as with the Big Bang and Trumpet 1, the arrival of organic material.